Hello, everybody. The post match is a little bit later than normal, just to simmer down. We did lose 3-2 to Newcastle, and it is, I can't lie, it's disappointing for our top four ambitions. I mean, Dan, where do we start with this, mate? Because this game's full of incident and controversies and goals and things like that. I mean, should we start with Craig Dawson and the red itself? Because
Yeah, got to chew the fat off with that first, haven't we? I think that's the main talking point that led us, well, to lose the game pretty much. From then on, it was downhill, wasn't it? So
yeah, I said to you before we went on, because we were playing the game for so long with 10 men, I actually forgot he did get sent off because he got an early yellow, didn't he? And I think at the
early
time
booking, yeah.
and I thought, okay, fair enough, slow down the play. Listen, mate, I think it was very pedestrian, wasn't it, for around 20 odd minutes. I think
Yeah,
West Ham very slow in terms of passing. Newcastle set up, they wanted to hit on the counter. At that point, mate, is there any concern? Because I think you said it to me the other day that this is Newcastle, it's St James's Park, these things happen, that it was going to be one of them days.
Yeah, it was so just pedestrian, mate, wasn't it? Like you said, and the first 15 minutes they were the better team. They just sucked up our attacks. Our attacks were very laborious, very slow, not really. They had no tempo about them. They were playing into their hands. That's what they wanted to do. And as soon as St. Maximin got on the ball, Almiron was bombing forward. They were pressing as high at times as well. We couldn't really deal with it, and it looked like a matter of time before they were going to score. And then they did. Obviously, it was a horrific touch, wasn't it? Under pressure, he's not normally like that. And like that comment there, he was reckless, wasn't he? He didn't really need to do it though, mate. He could have just avoided or dodged the challenge to avoid the second yellow. But listen,
I thought it was a bit odd. I thought it was, again, it's a horrible touch. I'm not quite sure what he's thinking. I know I'm not defending it. I'm not defending it at all. But just because
middle of the park, though, mate, wasn't it? He doesn't need to do it there. Like,
well, that's the thing.
But
they were ready for it, Newcastle. They were ready for any kind of slip up or any kind of mistake. And I just, listen, it's really disappointing because that does change the complexion of the game. I think, listen, we were poor, like we touched on, first 20. The tempo of the passing, the general game plan. Because I think I said to you on Thursday, we're coming up against a side that ultimately are going to sit behind the ball a little bit. And we're going to have to try and break them down. How are we going to deal with it? And there was no real answer to it. It was sideways passing, and then we played it into the forward men, and then it went back to the defenders again. That does worry me, mate, because I think we've got a couple of these type of games coming up. How are we going to adapt to that?
I think today it's more individual errors than a game plan, innit? I think if it's a winning formula, you've got to stick with it, because if Moyes changed it, people would say, well, why change your winning team? And yeah, there is an argument for that in a sense that we played into their hands. We could have thought, right, maybe start the second half, we'll bring on a Ben Rama or Lanzini to try and change the dynamic a bit. Because, there's warning signs from the off that, Newcastle like that. Newcastle like just slow football, crosses into the box they can deal with. There was no impetus or real, movement, mate, in the final third. Lingard was getting closed off a lot, and they were comfortable.
He came so deep, didn't he, Lingard, as well? Like, he was trying to, he switched wings, he tried to create stuff. And I think what was interesting for me, and we'll touch more on the Dawson incident, because I'm sure we can break it down almost, play by play. But the fact that if you're going to play against a compact side like Newcastle were with a back five, you've got to switch the play very, very quickly. You've got to get your fullbacks high. You've got to try and stretch it and catch them off guard. And we weren't really doing that. Like, even Noble, when he's playing the passes, and to be honest, his passes weren't that bad today at points. He was playing in central pockets, and we're not great with our back to goal.
Yeah, I thought Nobes could have released it quicker. There was times where I thought, release it now, but he took a few too many touches, almost like he did, last season. Do you know what I mean? And that probably slowed us down a bit. But all players were guilty of it as well. When you can't get, your dynamic players like Lingard on the ball in them pockets. Because I think at one point they had like 4 players around him trying to deal with him, and they managed him well. Fernandes managed him well, and his dribble attempts into the box were nullified. So that outlet's gone. Second half that improved, obviously, like we'll touch on. He was getting more of the ball, more joy. They set off him a bit, but But yeah, it suited them down to the ground. It suited Bruce down to the ground in his style. And, with St. Maximin, running ragged everywhere, that defence struggled against him today. And it was panic stations, mate. As soon as he got the ball, was driving forward, flick of a switch, he could change the intensity. He's slow and then he's quick. And he was superb today. He causes a lot of issues.
He was brilliant even before the Dawson incident, to be honest. He was causing us all kinds of problems. And I think, it's easy just to say, well, you've lumped him up front, Steve. You've not really done anything. But in a way, Steve Bruce would have known how West Ham wanted to play on the front foot. And he knew that if St. Maximin could pick up the ball, even when we sat back, he was a nightmare. And in transition as well. We'll touch on the Dawson. He's gone out. He's absolutely taken the geezer clean out.
The first one as well was first one, isn't it, mate? What was it again? Was it a yellow? Yeah, he just cynically.
Because at the time, I didn't have a problem with it because that was kind of part of the game. And listen, fouls like that do exist. It was a shame it was early on. Then he's gone and lumped the geezer, and I think he's panicked. I think his head's gone. He's a very high line. He's panicked and he's thought, right, let's just take him out here, without really sort of assessing the situation. The issue is when you get caught out like that, when St. Maximin gets the ball, the last man to track back's Mark Noble. And from that point, it becomes an issue of, can you just hold him off long enough to get those defenders back, to get everyone in shape? I mean, what do you think about Mark Noble in that situation? Do you think he did really all that he could have done? I mean, sort of just kept him off long enough for Diop to get back, or maybe you feel like he could have done a bit more?
What was this, for the first card or the second?
Yeah, first goal.
First goal, yeah. I feel like he could, but when you've got dynamic players like Almiron and ASM that never stop running, mate, they never give you a moment's rest. The game's going to bypass Noble a bit because Noble's a bit older, he's a bit slower naturally. Noble's never really been the quickest, and when you've got dynamic players like St. Maximin dropping deep into them central areas, and the game really bypassed both Noble and Souček for me. So it was difficult. I thought Noble, the first goal, did what he could.
Do you think if that's Declan, he's getting back and he's stopping him?
No, because I think it's quite a quick counter attack. Maybe there's an argument he could have got there, and maybe blocked the shot or something, or tracked. Was it Almiron who took the shot? I can't remember.
I just can't remember.
Game was that long ago, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
It was ASM. Yeah, it was ASM. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, because Deck early this season against Spurs, when Kane had that chance out wide and he crossed it in, and Deck came out of nowhere. Deck's got that, the amount of recoveries the geezer makes is quite incredible. That's his pinnacle of his game. So there's an argument he could have, but there's too many players. The players didn't really expect Dawson to lose a ball. It's a bad touch, and then from oh no, the transition's really quick. Almiron and St. Maximin are two very quick players, and from there, with the pace of our defenders as well, you're in trouble. So
I feel like there's a sort of an era of inevitability with Nobes on the high line, and when he plays in that position, that he's never going to recover. And I think we saw at times in the first half and second half, when we opened up and Newcastle hits on the counter, that it was very, very difficult for him to get back. And in terms of that goal itself, I personally feel, and maybe like I said to you before, and I've got to go and watch it again because of the stream and how it affects me, but I would have thought maybe Fabianski might have got a fingertip to it, possibly if Diop's not there. I don't think Diop, in the position that he's in, is doing him any favours, and there's possibly even an argument in terms of his eyesight and reading the ball that he's sort of clumsily just standing in front of him. Would you agree with that, mate?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's just a comedy of errors, like that comment says. It was a shambles, mate. I didn't really know what happened, like who it came off last or what. It was just a shambles, wasn't it? Just a mix-up, and Diop's probably gone to clear the ball, mate, and he from the line to block it off. It's come off him. It's come off Fab. Fab, for me, he could have got a touch on it, but then again, it's gone under him, hasn't it? I don't... it's just a shambles of a goal, mate, to be honest.
It is. And this is the thing we spoke about. Like, you talk about Angelo being back in the side. Did the team communicate better? But I feel like even that last goal for Leicester, last week, there's an era of we're not communicating right. We're not reading the situation right. And I don't think it's helping Fabianski. And I'm sure we'll touch on Fabianski and the era really for the second goal and maybe even the third. But I don't think things like that help him.
No, not his, not his sake that, he's for number one, and people saying reactionary comments saying he needs replacing or whatever. Yes, he's 36 tomorrow, and that's possibly an area you need to look at.
Is it his birthday tomorrow?
Yeah, it's his birthday tomorrow, isn't it?
Gutted.
Happy birthday, Fab. Obviously he was relieved when we equalised, but yeah, I'm sure we'll touch on it more later, mate. But I think for the first goal, it's just an amalgamation of errors. I don't think he's to blame. I think it's more, well, it is Dawson's fault. I don't think Diop can do a lot really either, to be honest with you. I think he could do more, but I think it's harsh to put all the majority of the blame with them two, because I think ultimately it comes from Dawson, his lapse of concentration, his erratic foul that led to their counter, and you can't be doing that in the first place anyway. So.
Spot on. I've seen a lot of anger with Craig Dawson actually, and people saying that I think his form has dipped, and it's a real tough one. We know what you're getting with Craig Dawson. When we're sat in a deeper shape, I feel that generally speaking, he's quite good in terms of in the air and getting blocks in, and I think he did get a block in before he got sent off. But there is always that, like you say, that erratic nature of going in, red-head, trying to go and win that ball, and again. You play that high line, you can't really afford to make those mistakes. And maybe if Declan's in, he recovers. But at the same time, you've still put Declan in that situation, even if he does play. So, it's just a lapse of concentration, lapse of composure, mate, that we can't really, to be honest, if we wanted that top four, we can't really afford to let seep in for the next couple of games.
No, we can't, especially conceding 10 in 3. It's a sign of a leaky defence, isn't it? If we want to get top 4, top 6, we need to stop conceding so many goals in that nature as well. I think Dawson, before his red today, it was only his second booking, wasn't it? Before his second yellow card. So he can be erratic. And I think the fact that, comment alludes to it there, the fact that Rice was missing as well, and Rice's composure on the ball, because he's better than Noble on the ball, Rice, that maybe they missed him, maybe they were a bit more shaky. And to be fair as well, Steve Bruce probably got it spot on, mate, for me, in terms of the fact that they were pressing with Almiron as well as Saint Maximin. Almiron was mainly doing the running because Saint Maximin done all the running on the ball. But he's a quick player, and they were effective with it. It worked. I've seen them at home a lot this season, and they press with M2 and simultaneously, and it's worked for them today. It's a bad error, mate.
Yeah, horrible, and it doesn't get any better. The second goal. Listen, I don't think, like we touched on, I don't think West Ham were brilliant at all on the ball in terms of creating. A lot of our chance creation was either from throw-ins, through trying to lump the ball into the box to Jared Bowen, who, as good as he has been in recent weeks, and he even did notch an assist today, isn't the best in the air. And so it felt like we were really getting stumped up, and Newcastle were quite able to just sniff it out. The second goal, mate, I mean, ball comes in. I think it's from the right hand side, comes swinging in.
Yeah, right.
Now, for me, he's got to catch it or punch it. Yeah, he's got to do one or the other. You can't try and catch it and then drop it. I just feel like he's got to be more decisive. And it's interesting because earlier in the game and probably throughout the game, it was a tactic of Newcastle from set pieces, throw a lot of men just in front of Fabianski, and it's holding that instance.
Yeah, again, clever from Steve Bruce. The fact that they wanted to put pressure on Fab and zonally, go around him and near him and near the goal line, and it worked again. But it's just another error to add to the catalogue, isn't it? He's not really under that much pressure either, mate, is he? He's not, he's under a bit, but players aren't climbing all over him. He's got not a free catch, but it's a comfortable catch for him any other week, and he fumbles it, and obviously. Joe Linton's on the line to prod it in. Typical that he scores when he's barely scored this season.
I know against Spurs and West Ham, couldn't write it, could you, mate?
To be fair, Joe Linton's a good player. He's got a lot about him. He just needs to add more goals. But I've always liked him and the work he's done. He's just not clinical for me. He's not really a striker. He's more of a winger.
Yeah, shame he's got the number 9 on his back. But look, I think. If you're, bottom line, it's a mistake from Fabianski. I'm not getting away from it. Again, I look at Diop in these type of situations, and he's standing behind him, and Joel Linton's in front of him. Now, I'm not an expert on zonal marking or even man-to-man marking, but I would have said that if Diop's ahead of Fabianski, and he just gives him a little bit more security, and again, he doesn't really need it because again, it is a mistake from Fabianski, then I don't think that happens. And it just worries me, mate. It just worries me those lapses, in those kind of set pieces. We can't really afford it. So,
Do you think though, if Diop is in front of Fab, that maybe he's blocking Fab's eyesight of the ball, line of the ball
I would
as
say that
well?
normally, but then Joel Linton's in front of him, and Joel Linton
Yeah.
is probably the same height, if not slightly bigger than Issa
Well,
Diop.
yeah.
So I think it's the same problem.
If Diop's in front of him, he might get to that ball as well before Joe Linton.
Well, you might luck out. He might drop
He's the
it,
same
and
height.
it goes on the back of Diop, and he recovers it. But at the same time, look, you've got to put it down to Fab, and I hate doing it because honestly, he's been absolutely superb for us this season, and I don't really want a game like this to cloud how important and how many times he does keep us in games.
Yeah, no, exactly. The amount of times over the seasons he's kept us in games, made some really good saves, especially recently, and to put the blame on him solely today is probably unfair in hindsight, especially for the third goal, in my opinion. But yeah, no, he should be catching that any other week he does. It's another soft goal to give away, and then from that point, once you give 2 goals away in that manner, individual errors, you can't really expect to get anything from a game. Once you're 2-0 down away from home, players' confidence will be shot as well. 10 men, the odds are obviously against you. But the second half, I thought we responded really well, and really should have got something from the game.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think if you forget the positives, don't you? Because you're up there now, and we talk about margins of error and where we want to be, and you kind of forget that we did come out second half and we did improve. I was slightly frustrated initially that we didn't make any substitutes. I would have said that would have been a banker from David Moyes, but we know he likes to give it just a little bit of time to try and assess the situation. I think, like you said, I think the intensity was a lot better. The pressing was better. Soufal was getting higher. Ben Johnson was willing to get beyond the man. And
Lingard was getting the ball as well.
Yeah. And the thing is, although the quality wasn't always there, the intention was there. And with 10 men, we were on the front foot. And when Newcastle tried to get the ball away, we were just recycling it. For me, mate, we were all over them at some points.
Yes, second half we were. But for me, it's frustrating. Whenever I watch a team, not even if it's West Ham and they're down to 10 men and they start playing, I'm like, well, why didn't you start playing with 11 men like that, with that intensity? I know the game plan completely changes, the dynamic of the game, but, Lingard got on the ball a lot. He was having shots from distance. Some of them were wasteful, some of them were good efforts, and he was having ambition, having a go, trying to create things as well. He's got that confidence now. He's obviously the anchor man, and obviously he scored again, which we'll talk about later, but Yeah, Soufal was getting the ball more. I thought some of Johnson's deliveries as well were superb. I've seen some criticism of him today, but I thought for him to be thrown on, especially against a tricky customer in ASM, I thought he had a good game. He was erratic in parts with his decision making. Say when it came to the edge of the box and he had a volley, he shouldn't have done that. Some of his decision making, yes, it does need work and it does need refining, but overall, I thought Johnson was good, and I think he's a scapegoat sometimes. Different people have the scapegoats, but yes, in a final third he could improve, mate. But given time, he's only young. A few more games under his belt, he's a decent player.
I think that's harsh. I haven't actually seen the criticism of him online.
His stats are very good as well, by the way. His stats are very good today. So
I'm sure they were. I think he was good going forward, particularly on the left-hand side. I think people forget that he's naturally right-footed. I don't think it's the easiest thing in the world to suddenly play either left wing back or left back, like he did in the second half. But I thought in terms of delivery on the left foot, probably could have been better. On the right foot, when he's come in, back post, it caused them a lot of issues, and it won us a fair few set pieces. And I think that's kind of where we were lacking creativity. We really needed to rely on those set pieces. So it was actually good to see from Ben Johnson that he was influencing things. I thought Soufal maybe could have done better in certain crossing positions, but at least he tried to get forward a little bit more. There was better impetus. I think we were a little bit more composed as well in their final third in terms of at least keeping hold of the ball and not losing it. So the press was very, very good. The goal, mate, Jarrod Bowen gets another assist, which obviously I'm happy about. We've got to take the positives from these games. And
good cross.
And Diop pops up, mate. And if you ever want to see, if anyone ever asks, who is Issa Diop? What does he represent?
In a nutshell,
watch
today's
this game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you're a scout and you want to know a bit about Issa Diop, this game sums it up. Good header, very good header. He's got a few headers over his time with us, hasn't he, from his goals. And it's a good ball from Bowen. I thought when that replay shown, I thought they're going to give it offside here by like his finger or something.
So did
I
I
was
actually.
convinced.
I
Yeah,
thought his arm might have been slightly off, but
yeah.
got
But
lucky.
VAR today was on our side, wasn't it? But yeah, very good header. You know, he made up for his his error because I didn't think he was great today, Diop, and you know, like I've said to you before, if he had that quality and potential, he needs to start doing it now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and will he ever get them lapses out of his games, improve his distribution? I'm not so sure, but yeah, it was a good header. Got back us in the game, got our tails up, and we deserved it. And then obviously we know the rest, don't we? So
Yeah, we do, mate. Diop for me at times on the ball was sloppy.
mm,
Really frustrates the life out of me that he believes he has a lot more time on the ball than he actually does constantly, and that's the thing that I can't get over. You know, people level at him. Well, he's still young. He's 25. If you've been playing at the professional level now for a fair while. You've been in and around the West Ham squad for a fair while. You've been in the Premier League for 2 years prior. You've got to be able to deal with those situations better. And even though I think he's normally very decent and us playing a higher line than we are sitting deeper just because of his concentration levels, when you need him just to play the right pass and not invite teams onto you, he doesn't do that. He gives them an opportunity. And I think Newcastle sense that as well.
yeah, I mean, Diop defensively can be very good sometimes, mate. I just think it's his distribution for me more than anything in the Premier League as well. You know, you need to be a good distributor from the back. You know, like Dawson's spraying long balls across the pitch very well today. You know, he did it a few times in the first half. Diop for me, you know, there's obviously a lot of responsibility to do that in the Premier League. You know, because you need to play out from the back. I think it was it the other day that I saw that was very good at it from centre back. If it was it Akanji for Dortmund. When they played City, his passing through the lines was superb, and that's the level you need to be at, you know, in the Premier League as well as these competitions next season against top teams like Man City if we ever come up against them. I hope not, but yeah, mate, that's my problem with him. You know, he's got something there, but how many times are we going to keep saying this? You know, oh yeah, Diop needs to improve. Hopefully, he does next week. He's still not doing it. So
the problem is next week it's against Chelsea and not against Newcastle,
exactly.
and that's what concerns me. Again, we'll play a lot deeper than we will today. I'm 100% sure we will, but at the same time, it's what I'm talking about is for me with Diop. There's never, you know, you put him in a favourable situation, there are slight tendencies and there are slight concerns. You put him in something where he's got to sit deeper, there are also slight concerns. I'm not sure what we get out of him long term. And then I say that he had a brilliant ball to Jared Bowen the other week, so maybe there is a player there. I think physically, in terms of attributes, there should be. But I don't know how long I can keep trying to defend him before I think maybe we need to move him on and get someone else in.
Yeah, you know what it is with him as well, mate. With some players like Anderson and him, it's up here. It's up here for me.
Yeah.
You know, mentality, and Moyes obviously builds his success off mentality. This season, we've seen that pretty much the same personnel, apart from a few additions and like Souček and Soufal, and they've upped the mentality, and Moyes has drilled that into them. So you'd think by now, mate, that that Moyes should be able to do that with Diop. But like you said, there's a player there, but I don't know how many times I've said, I can't even count it on two fingers that I've said he needs to improve this, he needs to improve that, you know. But credit where it's due, it was a good finish, it was a good header.
Yeah. Sorry, I know we started bashing Diop. It was a very good header. Well done, Iso.
Diop post-match chat.
Yeah, exactly. He got us back into it. And again, I think West Ham, you can be very commended for the way that we performed with 10 men. We kept going. We kept getting balls into the box. Again, a lack of creativity in terms of playing the right type of ball, or us dealing with a lack of space, which is why I wanted Ben Rama on slightly earlier. And I know people have had their say on Ben Rama, which I'll leave more to the end. We did get the penalty. I've seen people go a bit soft for me, and I'm bearing in mind you'll have a better view of it than I will, just because you've seen it in a bit more detail. I just saw it as his hands up here. If your hands up here, you can't have it, and and in the modern day that has to be given.
Is that though is his hand up there to elevate him a bit more? And
that's the argument, isn't it?
You know,
I just think, well, yeah, that's true. You're not going to jump just like this, are you? You've got to try and move yourself.
Yeah,
up.
Especially if there's a player there as well, you might want to even push on him a bit to elevate yourself. So it's very. I don't like getting into them rules because I think it's, you know, the I know the advantage should, probably lie with the attack. I don't even know anymore, mate. To be honest, it's just VAR, isn't it? Being honest, when I looked at it, I thought that's not a penalty. But after seeing it on a replay, like you said, I thought his hands in a probably. You don't normally have your hand up there, do you? And it's
If
hit
his hands, I'll tell you what, mate. If his hands are here, I know this is hard because they slow it right down so it looks a little bit more, like they've intended to do it, and you never really quite know.
Yeah.
If his hands are here or up near Souček, then I'm going, okay, if it goes off his elbow or it goes here, then maybe you can allow it. But the fact his hand was like here, I'm just thinking, I don't know whether that should be a penalty. For me, that's a penalty in the modern day. A lot of things have changed in terms of rules. I thought Liam Cooper the other week when I first saw it, he's got the ball first. He shouldn't get sent off, and then game's moved on.
It's the consistency for me, though, mate. Like, you remember Madja for Fulham a few weeks ago when they were playing Spurs? His was ruled out as well, but this and that one for me are both.
But that was prior to the rule change, though. That Madja goal.
It was, yeah. But they're both for me accidental. A handball always for me when I've been growing up has been, if you hand the ball purposely and stop something purposely, it's a penalty. And I know the rules have changed and all this, but for me, is he pushing on Souček to elevate himself a bit more? Can he get his arms down in time? I don't know, but it's hit his hand, like you said, and bottom line is that's a penalty.
It's unfortunate, 100%. I'm not disputing that it's not. I just think that, again, in the modern day, if, I don't necessarily agree with it, but let's just say Angelo's got his hand up there next week and it's a penalty. I don't agree with it, but then what the refs are going to... Well, that's the problem, mate. I think it's more to do with the rules than it is to do with the actual decisions, because I think they need to be looked at as opposed to if the refs are just doing what they've been told or what's in the rule book, then it is what it is.
Without VAR, mate, that's never even... mentioned, is it?
No, it's not. It's just a normal challenge, and it is what it is.
It's never even seen in an. I didn't even see it until I saw on Twitter. That's a pen. I was like, what? Obviously it went to VAR.
We got lucky. We got fortunate, and we've just fallen on the right side of the rule book. And there'll be times when we don't, and you'd hope that it levels out. But yeah, I can understand if a Newcastle fan's frustrated. For me, we take it. It gives us an opportunity to get back into the game.
Great Lingard steps
up. It's an absolutely blinding penalty, by the way. It's right off the post and in. And Dubravka, who's normally quite a decent penalty saver, didn't really have a chance at all.
He showed up Lingard's record as well, didn't it? He's missed like 3 of his last 4, and I thought I don't fancy him here because there was a massive delay as well, and I thought, oh no, from his last one as well that he missed. But superb pen, Dubravka had no chance off the post and in, like you said. Can't place it any better, really. And that got back us in the game, and I thought, I can't believe it. We've done it again. With
so did I.
Squad.
So did I.
And then you say, take this clip, right? You said on the preview show, didn't you, before this game, Joe Willock should play more minutes for Newcastle. He comes on, he scores a winning goal, doesn't he?
I thought it was I knew that as well when you saw the bench of theirs today. They had Callum Wilson, Dwight Gale, Joe.
Some good options, better options than us. Yeah,
he was Brucey was definitely waiting for that. I think he thought, if I can keep this game tight, or I can keep us in it. I know that he probably wouldn't have expected to be 2-0 up, and I think West Ham gave him those goals. I just think that if he could bring the right players on at the right time, then Newcastle can influence it. And you've got to give a lot of credit to West Ham because, again, and we've seen this season, particularly with the mentality. If that's West Ham last season, we don't come back from that game, they might even go and win it 3-0. Yeah, exactly. The fact that we come back and we kept sticking at it, even when it wasn't really working, has always been a really good sign going forward. But then we equalise, and I would have expected at that point Newcastle to sort of shy away a little bit. But, mate, they didn't. They were ready to go. They wanted to win that game today.
Yeah, from they're only attacking the last stages of the game. It's a great cross. Was it Richie or somebody who crossed it in, and then
does the defender need to clear that? Does the defender need to do better there? There's three defenders in the box, and none of them are positionally right. Do you not think that's a bit poor? Yeah. Because it's only Willock who's there. It's 3 against 1 pretty much. Well, Willock's a big guy. He's very athletic as well, but he shouldn't be winning that ball, should he? No. It does. It's a good header for me. Fab. I don't see how people can say Fab saves it. I think it's powerful. It's right at him, yes, but I think there's too much pace on the ball. He nearly saves it as well, in credit to him. But it's a good header. It's a good goal. It's against the run of play.
and I'm just like, I can't believe it.
I know.
Honestly, can't believe it, mate.
How long did it take for them to score again? It was only a couple of minutes, wasn't it?
It was a couple of minutes, wasn't it? Yeah, 2 minutes, something.
But this is the
Honestly,
problem, mate. This is the problem with like leads and things. When we've got the deficit, we're happy. And I think we're happy to get back into it. Or, I know it's slightly different, but when we go 1 or 2 up, we still feel like we're going. And the minute it becomes tight and we think, oh, it's all right, we just switch off. And I think defensively we switched off today. And the only reason why we got back into it is because we penned Newcastle back in their own half. But the minute they started coming back at us, we relinquished so many chances.
For me, I don't see why they brought St. Maximin off either, because he was their instigator going forward. And as soon as he came off, is he injured?
Off.
He's probably just a bit cramped, mate. He hasn't played in a while. But as soon as he came off, their impetus changed. Obviously, Wilson's not as quick, and they've only got Alma on. They've not got that driving force. So naturally, I thought that, unless it was an injury, like you say, I thought that was a bit of a strange substitution. Because he was still looking threatening in the second half, going forward. And I thought, especially one point he played it to Almiron, and Almiron was selfish and had a shot. But I was like, if this carries on second half, they'll just.
They had a lot of chances on the counter, even so. Even still, I think as well, Noble in the second half sat a lot deeper. We weren't even seeing him really getting into Newcastle's half. And I think Moisey knew that if Newcastle break on the counter, Nobes can't deal with it. And you're just exposing the defence. But even with Noble sitting deeper, they still found space. So I suppose in a way, you've got to give them a little bit of credit, because I think Newcastle were ready and prime for that counter. And
they were.
And we just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, they were. Now, the game didn't suit us today, mate. The game... When we're forced to try and create something and play possession-based football, we struggle, for me. I think this season...
I've said this for so long. We just don't have a game plan.
When teams ask us the question, come at us, see what we got. We can't break teams down in a low block. And I thought before the game, and obviously on Thursday, I thought this is going to be more difficult than people think. It's not going to be a walkover. Obviously, our record at St. James's Park is something else as well. But, it was the same at the start of the season. We were forced to come on them, create, but our success this season, our winning formula has been teams have come at us, we've sucked it, contain the pressure, we've gone on the counter, and we've taken our chances. And this game was completely different. We didn't really know what to do. And it got
That's what worries me. That's what worries me, the lack of ideas from... I know we've got a few injuries, but just when we're playing against the low block side and we're trying to break them down in the central areas where they've got 3 midfielders, doesn't make sense to me. Why would you do that? And you're really hoping that Newcastle will come out of their shape or make some kind of mistake, which they're not going to, because for all his faults, and I think Newcastle at times play a horrific brand of football. If you've got a back five, you're not going to come out of that just to suit West Ham and be expansive, And I think we do it to a lot of teams, and that's just been done to us today. And unfortunately, we don't have an answer other than trying to get it in the box, repeatedly get crosses in, and hope that we get something. And I said this in the watch along. If we'd had Mikel Antonio, it might have been one of the players that would have done something just to break that line. And when you don't have a player like that, and as good as Lingard and Bowen are in transition, do they work when you're playing against the low block side? And I'm not convinced they do.
No, not Bowen against 3 defenders, because he's just nullified. I think you're taking the words out of my mouth. If we missed Antonio today, because they had a low block centrally, they didn't allow Lingard to get on the ball. Naturally, we were forced to play wide. We were forced to get them crosses in. I think Johnson put 7 crosses in today in total. Sufa was about 5. So, that's a few crosses in itself. So naturally, if you have Antonio, who's an aerial threat, can occupy them defenders, give them something to think about, because Bowen's not good in the air. That's not his game. Naturally,
he's 5'8", mate. He's not going to get on the end of it and start hitting it in left, right, and centre.
Well, apart from Sucha, they're thinking this suits us down to the ground, comfortable, all clear, get St. Maximin at the end of it and get him going. So Antonio was a big miss today. Someone like Tammy Abraham as well on the end of them crosses. And we might be speaking about a different scoreline. I'm only saying Tammy today. Yeah, I'm only saying Tammy today, mate, by the way, because apparently he wants to leave. So
he's been left out of the FA Cup squad, isn't he? So I think that's pretty much nailed on now.
Speaks volumes. Yeah, speaks volumes.
I'm not excusing the individual errors, but there is a part of me that does think if West Ham had options, players fit, and then listen, teams do have injuries, but they have options to bring on. And for me, you look at the players that we needed another striker, a natural striker, and that unfortunately that's what happens. Can you break down a side without a guy that's playing on that sort of or just on the shoulder of defenses, or he's a big physical presence, or can hold up the ball. And I think that's what Tammy, hypothetically, Tammy wouldn't necessarily do what Antonio does, but even if it just gave Newcastle someone to focus on and just draw him out of shape, and Lingard and Bowen working in and around him, different game in it, to be fair.
That's why you need versatility in your forward options. You can't just have Mikel Antonio. You need say Antonio. You need a quick striker. Antonio is quick, and then you need a more of a aerial threat like Tammy.
You need diverse options.
You know what I mean? Yeah, who can hold it up exactly. And with our squad depth today, because we haven't invested, and Moyes chose Lingard instead. Yeah, that's good, all well and good. But today it showed. The injuries are piling up as well. We need different options. We need different forwards to look at and think, what, we'll play him in today because he'll suit this game down to the ground. He'll get us a goal. He'll hold up the ball, allow players to get in around him. He'll occupy them defenders. And we're playing Bowen. Yes, he's a very good striker in that position, but the game didn't suit him today. And that's, ourselves to blame, really, that we haven't invested.
And even so, he's still got an assist. Yeah. So he's still chalking things up. Talking about the only option that I wanted to play the previous day was Saïd Benrahma. He did come on in the end. I think he was likely to come on a bit earlier and then came on slightly late because we scored. I think it's frustrating. It really is, because I know he's got the ability and you can see he has. And I remember when he first come on and he wanted it, took a man on immediately, then won it back, and it's fine. But what he's doing with the ball when he's got it is... For me, I'm sorry, it's not good enough.
It's frustrating. Yeah, exactly.
He has to. If you can't influence things, if you can't get a ball into the box, you can't play the right pass, just keep it. And he lost it on one occasion, and it let Newcastle have the counter. So
yeah.
Do you think with Benny that it's a case of, and I'm not making an excuse for him, that he hasn't adapted to the league well enough to understand that he doesn't have as much time on the ball that he thinks he has?
It's exactly that. Yeah, in the Championship, you get more time naturally. In them pockets of Brentford, he had a lot of time, and he's come here and he tries to do a step over, do too much, and a player's up his backside. That I don't know who played that ball, but it was magnificent. And then I'm thinking, go on, take him on. He's only Matt Ritchie. Go on, take him on. But he cuts inside, he stumbles, and he loses the ball. And that was a great chance as well, because it caught them off guard a bit. And there was a second instance as well, mate, when Johnson was in acres of space on the left. Benrahma was on the edge of the box. Benrahma does something else, ignores Johnson. I think Benrahma takes a shot, and he obviously gives them the ball back. But he has got a lot of ability, and I know why people are defending him on Twitter. From what I've seen so far, he's not good enough. And it wouldn't surprise me in the summer if Moyes sold him, because if Moyes really liked him, mate, he would have come on a lot earlier today.
But I'll ask you this question: Why have West Ham paid 25 million for him if they're going to sell him in the summer?
I don't know whether
do they know they can sell him back to someone to get a bit of money for him?
Yeah, exactly. It's poor business again. It's the same with Anderson and Haller and all the others. Paying all this money and not getting any resale value. In fact, losing money on them. Not making any profit. That's the issue. He's a talented player. Yes, he's got a lot of ability. He hasn't had a lot of game time to prove himself, that consistent run of games. He only has cameos, I know that. But in the cameos he has come on in, he doesn't do enough. And when he gets the ball in dangerous areas, he doesn't do enough. So I think...
Sorry, mate. Go ahead.
Sorry, mate. I just think if there's a chance to even get, 15 million out of that price tag we paid for him in the summer to get Jesse or, another striker, I think we'll do that.
I don't think we sell him because, unfortunately, it's David Sullivan's project, isn't it? And he's basically brought him in over David Moyes. And I'll say it again, and this happens all the time. If you don't allow Moyes to bring in a player that he actually wants as opposed to a player that you want, then we're always going to end up with situations like this. The Allaire thing was slightly different because Pellegrini bought him. But when you've got David Moyes in post and then he's asked for Eze and you've brought in Benrahma, and it's not to say that Benrahma can't improve because he's got ability. Everyone said it, 100%. He's up there for assists and he creates a lot. That's fine. But he lacks that directness that you need in the Premier League. And maybe you can get it into your game. Maybe it's a mindset thing. But like you said, exactly like Felipe Anderson with that. Because at one point, Felipe was taking on men and all of a sudden he thought, do you know
just
what?
Up there. I'm not
do it anymore.
Yeah, look against Leeds away. Benrahma was, having Calvin Phillips on toes. Sorry, Dale, in the comments, but he was. He was a nuisance all game. He was looking, I thought he was brilliant. But ever since, he's not playing much. And I just think it's a confidence thing, innit? If you don't play much, you think, oh, does the manager trust me? You come on, you make a mistake, and then you make him another mistake, and I'm not. I'm not sure.
It's tough for players like Ben Rama in the Premier League, isn't it? Because they are unique in that sense, and it's sink or swim. Particularly when you come up from the Championship, you've got to be able to adapt. I hope that. What's he said?
Saying I've never lied down. Yeah, go on, mate.
That just made me laugh. I think you've either got it or you haven't. Now, I hope that West Ham go on and we get Europa League football and Ben Rama again has another competition to work in and get regular game time in, because I just look at him and I just, come on, mate. I know you can do more than what you're doing. And I think we had this similar situation with Fornals to a degree a season ago where he misplacing passes and he wasn't good enough and he was sloppy and he worked his way back in. I wonder whether Ben Rama can try and showcase that. And this is the mad thing about Ben Rama, okay? If he doesn't lose those ball in those situations, yes, he's not doing enough. He's not negatively impacting the team. When he's losing the ball in those positions, that's actually hurting us. So he needs to get that out of his game quick if he's going to play enough time at West Ham.
Yeah, it's bottom line. It's his end product, isn't it? He's got all the ability, he's got all the flashes and the pointless step overs, but it's what he does at the end of it. Against Leeds, I'll refer back to, he had a lot of shots, but they were all wayward, weren't they? He was forcing it. Like today, he wasn't forcing it, but he was just taking too long on the ball. They came back, sucked up the pressure, and they countered again.
Yeah,
he's just got that to improve, mate. He's not adapted well to the Premier League yet. I understand the point that he's not had a lot of game time and regular game time under his belt to show that, because when he has started, he's done well. But
yeah,
there's players ahead of him, mate, at the moment for me. He's at the bottom of the pecking order because of Fornals, Bowen, Lingard, all of them, the amount of goals they contribute to as well, and the work they put in as well. And the quality on the ball for me is better. So it's a tough old period for Benny, but, like you said, if he's got that resilience and that character, and he'll shine through eventually, and he'll make Moyes trust him like he did before now. So
yeah, let's hope so, mate. So I think we'll end it there. Any last thoughts, mate? I know it's disappointing to lose, but I think the lads have got to get themselves together. It's a huge game next week against Chelsea. I mean, your thoughts on today's game, and do you think West Ham can bounce back against the other side of London?
Disappointing, mate, today. Massively disappointing, but I'll say that, like I said on my Twitter, that players and teams have bad days at the office, like everyone does. We can't legislate for the individual errors, but that's what happens. You can't slag off Dawson and say, yeah, we need to replace him now after one game.
Who's now out? He's now out, isn't he, against Chelsea?
Yeah, every world-class player, whatever, even Messi, Ronaldo, they have bad games. Every player does. But it's just about how we bounce back from that second half we did. I thought the togetherness and the spirit to get back into the game was excellent, and we nearly did it, bar their last-minute goal, obviously. But listen, go again. We might be sixth by the next time we play Chelsea, yes, but it's a big chance to bounce back. Hopefully Jesse's only got a bit of cramp and nothing more. I think, bloody hell.
I was about to ask you about that. If Lingard's out, then
Ben Rama comes
almost
in.
an impossible task.
Comes in, doesn't he? Yeah. No, it does, yeah, because Lingard's our only hope at the moment, really, going forward, as well as Bowen. But yeah, next week will suit us more, mate. I don't know what you think, because they play more possession-based football. They have the wing-backs, but, hopefully we can counter on them, transition quickly, and cause them a few issues, because they struggled against West Brom, didn't they, with that? So
yeah, I completely agree, Matt. I think against teams where there's more space for us to work into, we seem to have got that almost down to a fine art. You see it against Wolves, you see it against Arsenal. When you move into space, we can be absolutely lethal. The problem with Chelsea is how much they'll try and control the middle of the park, and whether we can compete with that. Fornals might have to drop a bit deeper to make a midfield three. Can you get the ball off a Kovacic and a Kante? They've got a Champions League semi-final 3 days after playing us. So again, that will account for things and hopefully play into the term of squad selection. I think in the general scheme of things, yes, benefits us. But at the same time, the injuries that we've got at the minute, they're quite substantial. Although Dawson's had a few poor performances. Again, I would prefer him when we're playing in a low block, so I know he can make those challenges. So again, it's probably a step up for someone like Balbuena to come in and not make a mistake and be solid. So there's a lot riding on it. I think if West Ham can come out with something amazing, then throws us right back in there unexpectedly. But he's going to be a real tough task. Definitely one of the toughest games we've got now to the end of the season.
100%. They'll want to cement top four as well they? As well as that final. So that semi-final.
The difference is they've got the squad to do it, haven't they? Let's be honest. They've got multiple options to come off the bench. They can rotate, and unfortunately, West Ham can't. You'd hope that. And I haven't heard anything about Declan Rice. If we could get him back for that game, and he was fully fit, not half fit, then maybe we're talking slightly differently. Maybe we can sort of tweak things around and influence things. But I don't know, mate. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you for joining me, Dan. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you for some balanced post-match reaction stuff?
Yeah, at DanWaff98 on Twitter. Yeah,
you'll hear obviously every preview and every post-match. So we'll cover that. Chelsea pre-match even is on Thursday. That's going to be a really interesting one. I know we're playing on Saturday. There is no watch-along next Saturday as I am moving back home. So that will not be happening. And it's probably for the best because that will be a very stressful game. Normal stuff out. My team.
You can watch it in peace, mate, as well, can't you? Watch it in peace.
I can watch it in peace and actually digest it. Yeah, exactly. We'll do that. And then obviously we'll have a look at how Chelsea play. It'll be interesting if anyone's sort of got a bit of spare time today. Have a look at what Chelsea are playing like against Man City. That'll give you a really good idea about who West Ham are playing.
Got a lot of problems, haven't they?
They've got a lot of problems, mate. They're a very good side. We've got a lot of problems, certainly. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Drop a like on the stream before you leave. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we will talk to you very shortly.